Hola, clase. Soy Señorita Schaefer, and our review for Chapter 2A is going to be verbs and expressions that use the infinitives. This is in the A ver si recuerdas at the beginning of Chapter 2A, and it's on Página 71 if you want to visit there and do some activities with it. Our big question for the day is, when do you use infinitive verbs in Spanish? So as you write this at the top of the notes that you're taking, I would encourage you to think through what are some ways that you already know about how we use infinitive verbs in Spanish, because you should have a good bit of knowledge about this already, but we're going to review it just because it's good to do sometimes. So the biggest overall umbrella rule that we can learn with this is that when you use two verbs together in Spanish, the second one is usually the infinitive. We're going to talk about some verbs that happens with often, but first we'll just look at a couple examples so you can see it. So one example here, Oscar prefiere llevar jeans los fines de semana. Oscar prefers, and we do this in English too, prefers to wear. So we have two verbs here, prefiere and llevar, and you'll see that because prefiere is conjugated, that Oscar prefers, that llevar is in the infinitive. It tells it's AR. He prefers to wear. Let's do one more. ¿Vas a llevar un suéter esta noche? Are you going to wear a sweater tonight? So you have are you going? And this one's a little bit weird because with ir plus a plus infinitive we have this a here, but then we have to wear. A sweater tonight. We would never say Oscar prefers he wears, or are you going you go, or you wear, right? We just use that infinitive there. Let's talk about some verbs and expressions that you've already used that are often followed by the infinitive. We have me gusta or me gustaría. And if you guys will just write these down on your notes as we go, I'll give you the translations and I want for you to write them down, please. So me gusta or me gustaría means I would like or I like. Me gusta is I like, me gustaría is I would like. Me encanta, I love. So I could say me gustaría comer, I like to eat. Or me encanta comer, I love to eat. The third one is poder. Poder means to be able. So for example, I might say yo puedo nadar. I am able to swim. Número 4, deber. Deber means should. So we could say tú debes nadar. You should swim. Now in English we don't use a to after this, but we also don't conjugate. We wouldn't say you should you swim, right? We just say you should swim. So in Spanish we're going to use the infinitive. Número 5. Preferir, to prefer. Yo prefiero cantar. I prefer to sing. You'll notice here that preferir is an E to I E stem changer and poder is an O to U E stem changer. Okay, we're halfway through. We have 5 more. Hopefully you recognize some of these. Número 6, querer, to want. Querer means to want. Yo quiero estudiar español. I want to study Spanish. Número 7, pensar. Pensar means to think or to plan. Pensar is to think or to plan. So yo pienso estudiar. I plan to study. And you'll notice that pensar is also an E to I E stem changer. Número 8, necesitar. Necesitar means to need. Necesitar means to need. Yo necesito estudiar. I need to study. Tener que. Tener que means to have to. We use this for like to have to do something. So remember, tener is an E to IE stem changer. It's also a yo-go verb. So yo tengo que yo tengo que bailar. I have to dance, or I must dance. I have to dance. The last one that we're going to talk about today is a repeat from last chapter a little bit, ir a. Ir a is to be going to. And remember, ir has weird conjugation, so voy a bailar would be I am going to dance. Once again, just make sure you have all of these with their translations, please. So, me gusta or me gustaría is I like or I would like. Me encanta is I love. Poder is to be able to. Deber is should. Preferir is to prefer. Querer is to want. Pensar is to plan or to think. Necesitar is to need. Tener que is to have to. And ir a is to be going to. When you're ready, we'll flip on to the next one. Please make sure you have these down though. The last thing that we're going to talk about is something that's new for us. You can use the present tense of the verb acabar followed by de and the infinitive to indicate that something has just happened. So when you're like, oh, I just heard that song, or I just went swimming. In English, we use the past tense, I just did that. In Spanish, they instead use this verb to say like that it just happened, and then you can just use the infinitive. So first we'll go ahead and conjugate acabar, then we'll do a couple of examples. So acabar, we'll take off the AR and find our stem is acab. It's a normal AR verb, so we can just use that same stem through the entire thing. And then we'll add the appropriate endings. So for an AR verb, our endings are o, as, a, amos, ais, and an. Yo acabo, tú acabas, él acaba, nosotros acabamos, etc. And then let's just do a couple of examples so that you can see how this looks. If we wanted to say, we just listened to that song. So in English, like I said, we use the past tense, but in Spanish, we'll just use this equation. So we'd say nosotros, and then we'll use the nosotros form of acabar. So nosotros acabamos, and then de, and then the infinitive. So nosotros acabamos de escuchar esa canción, that song. Please make sure that you have this one down on your notes, and then we'll move on to the last slide. So our big question of the day was, when do you use infinitive verbs in Spanish? And our big answer is when you have two verbs in a row. You can write down your 10 main ways that happens if you want to, if you think that would be helpful, or you can just list the 2 or 3 that maybe are the hardest for you to remember. And then I would conjugate acabar and write down that acabar means to have just done something. As always, if you have any questions at all, please go ahead and write those down so that you'll remember to ask them when you get to class or help class. Gracias por escuchar y adiós.